You know, I almost thought, do I have enough time to watch an 11-minute Matt Walsh video? But then I remembered half of the video is fucking ads anyway. So I think I do.
We're rolling.
Yeah. Today we're going to run down a list of the 5 most overrated films of all time.
There's so much production. There's so much production value.
Now, this is the definitive list. There can be no argument, no discussion. We should turn off comments on YouTube because this list is so verifiably correct that there's really nothing to talk about. Now, one thing to remember as we proceed is this. Overrated does not mean bad. So I'm not saying that the films on this list are bad.
Okay, this seems kind of pointless then with that whole intro. All right. Shawshank, Toy Story, Dark Knight, ExpressVPN. Marvel is a movie. Okay, why not? And then Star Wars, sure. Okay. And then Ben made a rebuttal. I was almost going to watch this, but then he's like, it's actually not serious. So why should I watch it? Okay. I like how the Shawshank on Ben's video is missing a W in the timestamps. Probably because he's too busy taking the L. All right, how does Ben's even start?
Alrighty, so Matt Walsh apparently cut a video in which he talked about his 5 most...
Oh yeah, he edited it. Matt Walsh edited the video, yeah.
...overrated films. I want to go through that because there's a lot I agree with Matt about, but his film takes are some hot takes.
Today we're going to run down a list of the 5 most
Oh, you're just going to play his video anyway. Why the fuck would I watch his?
Overrated films of all time. Now, this is the definitive list. There can be no argument, no discussion. We should turn off comments on YouTube because this list is so verifiably correct that there's really nothing to talk about. Now, one thing to remember as we proceed is
we're just watching his
Overrated
video.
Does not mean bad. So I'm not saying that the films on this list are bad. Some of them are, but not all of them.
This is very cringe. What they've done here. This is very cringe. I thought I was gonna be watching this because I was interested in seeing like his actual movie takes. But instead this is just like a weird kind of like masturbatory, like hee aren't we so silly? Like very homoerotic video.
Overrated just means that they aren't as good as people make them out to be. Their reputation is greater than the actual product on the screen. So
okay, stop it there for a second. Okay, so I just want to make sure that we have the standard correct. Okay, I'm not mischaracterizing his standard. His standard is not the film is bad. It's that people think that the film is like a 10 and the film is like a 4. Right? That like my list of most overrated films includes things like American Beauty, Best Picture, 0.
Number 5, Shawshank
Okay.
Redemption. Now, this is not a bad film. It is, in fact, it's a pretty good film, but it has gained the reputation of a cinematic masterpiece, mostly because millennials grew up watching the movie on TNT, where it aired approximately 46 times a week. And Shawshank it's a fine story. It's a well-told story, but it's also
This seems so weirdly pointless. What's
incredibly cliched, overwrought, quite cheesy, extremely predictable. Every character is a walking archetype. Every story beat can be seen from a mile away. The movie doesn't do anything new or different with the prison drama format except sanitize it. So Shawshank is to prison movies what Remember the Titans is to football movies. They're both massively overrated.
I don't know, for like 90, what was it, 91? 92? Like, it's difficult to find, like, a prison movie better than that before that. Like, Shawshank's just a very well-constructed narrative. It hits the beats. It hits the beats right.
Not even the best
94. Oh, shit. 94 is such a solid year.
versions of their particular subgenre, much less are they in the conversation for the greatest movies of all time. My biggest
I haven't seen Cool Hand Luke yet. I actually did not know that was a prison movie.
problem though with Shawshank is that the inmates are all the nicest, most decent human beings you could ever meet, minus the 2 who are rapists.
Okay, we can stop there. Okay, so he's right about the plot. Obviously, the plot is basically uber religious but corrupt warden versus a bunch of really sweet and nice inmates who may or may not be rapists in the outside world, but inside they're really actually quite good people. He's right about that. That's a good critique. As a film, it is a very, very effective film. And when he says that there are better versions of this in the genre, in like the prison genre, are we talking here? What are like the best films in the prison genre?
Hi there. How you sleeping, good?
I'll say this is better than Cool Hand Luke. Again, he's making an audacious claim. If he just wants to say Shawshank is overrated, I'm with him. If he wants to say it's one of the most overrated films of all time,
They should just do this for the rest of their content, is just respond to each other over and over and pretend that they're arguing.
I don't know, man.
Number 4, Toy Story. Now,
Okay, this is insane.
A good film.
It's probably an unrealistic depiction of a prison. I don't know. It depends what your goals are narratively. If your goal narratively is to show literally every single thing that happens in a prison, then that didn't do a very good job. But I don't think that was its narrative goal. Like, oh yeah, we need a scene where this bald guy sneaks in drugs up his butt and then stabs someone with a poop knife.
For what it is, it's one of the best kids movies in the last 3 decades. It's just not good enough to warrant 3 sequels with a 4th on the way.
The sequels are better than the original.
My main problem with Toy Story.
Yeah, this is a weird take from Matt. Toy Story wasn't good enough to warrant sequels? It was the first computer animated movie ever made, like feature length. That was like a pretty monumental. That Toy Story is responsible for an entire industry changing. It's not my favorite movie, but like culturally, its impact is huge for good reason. Toy Story proved that you could make computer animated movies.
Is the villain. Sid, who's like the supposedly evil child living next door in the first Toy Story film. But what is Sid's great crime? Like, what did he do wrong? He takes apart his toys and reassembles them. This makes him a bad person? Like, he didn't know the toys were alive. So how can you blame him for that? He thought they were inanimate objects. How can we blame him for his treatment of inanimate objects? Like, if it turns out that my chair is actually alive, am I suddenly a scumbag for sitting on it all these years?
Okay, so first of all, it is the
I mean, yeah, I've seen that comment on Reddit, I guess. Yeah, he's an asshole to his sister. Yeah, you're right. He steals his sister's toys and breaks them. So that is kind of bad.
the most predictable thing in the world that Matt finds sympathy with Sid.
And I'll tell you this, I believe him.
Yes, I do actually think that treating your children to care and respect for the things they have been given is a good moral principle. It's kind of a weird moral principle, but I think it actually matters. Let's put it this way. If I bought my son a toy, and my son promptly took it out into the backyard and blew it up, I would be a little mad. Also, Sid destroys these toys in the most perverse ways. This isn't like a creative genius over here. He isn't repurposing an old phone to turn it into like E.T.'s machine that phones home.
Meanwhile, Andy forms very unhealthy fixations on his toys, never does anything interesting or creative with them. And like, there's nothing wrong with a child having a toy, but it's a bit overboard. Okay, you're a little bit too old to be this attached to your toys, Andy.
Wait, hold on. How old do you think Andy is in this movie? Andy, I think in the original movie is like 6. Yeah, that's a bad take. That's a truly terrible take.
Number 3.
This is so odd. This is the weird. Why does this whole thing exist?
The Dark Knight.
Oh, shut the fuck
Again, good film. It just isn't the masterpiece that people make it out to be. Without Heath Ledger's great performance, this movie wouldn't be remembered for anything in particular.
Oh, you mean one of the key roles in the film is actually crucial to the film? Truly one of the stupidest arguments I've ever heard, Matt. Without the Academy Award-winning best villain in film history in the film, it's a different movie.
Ta-da.
I could do that with literally anything. You know, the New Testament without Jesus, not nearly as good.
Like, take Heath Ledger out of it. What does anyone remember about this movie? Who cares about this movie except for that? It's great by Batman movie standards, but it's not great as a piece of cinema.
And I thought my jokes were bad.
For example, how does the Joker wire an entire hospital with enough explosives to demolish it in 15 seconds without anyone noticing? This is a working hospital. People are in it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. How did you wired the whole thing? It's not just like one part that explodes. The whole thing is taken down.
Wait, that's his critique? His critique is like the practicality of wiring a building to explode? I mean, yes, that's correct. Gotham City's a show. They have a literal insane asylum where they keep people, and every 5 minutes people break out of the insane asylum. Also, has he been to a hospital recently? They're not really all that well run. I remember when my wife was in residency. Yeah, man. I mean, not that I would have committed a criminal act like the Joker, but I don't feel like it would have been that hard.
Now the movie.
Well, 30% on America's coffee.
Stop!
Marvel movies, all of it. The whole Marvel movie canon, they are all overrated because they're all rated as being at least better than cinematic slop, which is what
I can't.
all are.
He has me there.
All bad. Like every single Marvel movie is bad. There's never been a good one. I hate to tell you.
The original Iron Man is really, really great. So the original Guardian of the Galaxy was a real breath of fresh air. Ant-Man is wildly underrated to me. Doctor Strange 2016, again, enjoyable. And Thor Ragnarok is just pure silly.
What's going on?
Well, consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds. However, I was asked in that video to rate which are the best Marvel movies, not Marvel movies versus all of the movies.
The production on this whole Daily Wire YouTube channel is so fucking weird. It's so fucking weird what they're trying to do, and there's a lot of production going into it. They've got a studio, you know. They've got a studio, and in one of the studio rooms, they have Brett Cooper pretending to be a Twitch streamer when it's actually a set. Pretending to be a normal girl.
movies.
Number one, the most overrated film of all time is Star Wars. It's fine. It's decent. It's not
Oh,
deserving
Ben loves Star Wars. All right.
of the worshipful praise it receives, and it certainly does not warrant the 10.
It saved Hollywood. Literally saved the entire industry. Fox Century was about to go bankrupt, and they put out Star Wars. The theaters were dead. No one was going to the theater. Star Wars saved the entire movie industry. Okay, by the way, he's talking the entire Star Wars series, right? He's not just talking about like the original Episode 4 Star Wars, which is in fact a great movie. He's talking about like including Empire. Empire Strikes Back is one of the 5 best movies ever made. What in the actual
The original Star Wars movies were solid B movies.
That's impossible!
The acting's pretty poor, especially by Mark Hamill. Really, really bad acting. The script is kind of cheesy and derivative in parts. And I say derivative not because, everything after Star Wars is ripping it off, so I'm just used to it. No, even Star Wars when it came out was derivative of sci-fi that had come before. Like, it actually was not doing anything all that new.
What is he talking about? That's not even remotely true. I mean, first of all, the special effects unprecedented for the time. Like blew everybody out of the theater. The whole point. Iconic. What is
Menace.
All right, this is boring, and they're both cringe, and this is
Now, y'all need to grow up and realize that.
The answer is never. Do you hear me? Never, ever.
one of the great scores of all time, by the way? Honest to God. Like, okay, so what in the what? Just what? Okay, so terrible takes all the way around there with the.
It's crazy that the editing, like, it's such YouTuber editing at points. Their channel's so weird.
Hey everybody, Olivia here. Thank you for watching as always. Here are my $5 and up patrons for December of 2024. Michael Bradley, Joaquin Evia del Puerto's... I fucked up already, Jesus Christ. Michael Bradley, Joaquin Evia del Puerto, Ivy Gladstone, Jordan A, Nico Fuentes, Joel999, Speak of the Joker, Modern Nerds, Neckpilled, Cybra, Chevenel Goat, The Flying Marlin, Lobsterite, Mayra Geek, Mead Marmalade, HG Greggs, Clarice Carlson, Skanot On, Happy the Knife, Coolest Shirt, www.openclassactions.com, Emil, Blank, Judah McKinslayer, T Kings, Live88, Electrica is so bad at games that he beat Celeste Chapter 9 in 38 hours. Yep. The Super 1 player, Zachary Kane, Purple Fire, Gabriel Herrera, and Lemonade Warrior is participating in the hit game Among Us and is considered the encroacher. Stay safe and have a happy holidays.